War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. My name is Kyle, for those of you that don't know me, and we appreciate you hopping in here, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, just spending a few minutes with us just to hang out and talk about what's going on in the world of all things Auburn, whether that's sports related or not. And I'd say there's a few interesting topics out there today. It is a game week after all. So this is going to be a little bit different of a live stream. While we kind of have a set topic, we can bounce around a little bit more than we typically do on our Monday night shows because we're coming off of bye week. We're going to, we haven't even gotten into our preview for Auburn versus Ole Miss. We can maybe do a little of that, but we're going to save that for Wednesday night. So I thought we'd kind of look back at the first half of the season, maybe even make some predictions of the second half of the football season. I want to hear you all and your predictions and assumptions and all that kind of stuff, prognostication and everything else that's going on in the world of Auburn stuff right now. Do me a favor, though, before we kind of get into this thing. If you haven't already, please do make sure you smash this like button. If you do enjoy this type of content, share it out on social media, invite some friends in here to be part of the show. It is always more fun when we have tons of people here. I already see a few familiar faces popping into the chat window. We'll say hi to in just a second. Also, we are having the headphones are on, but we're not taking open calls tonight. It is open to the Booster Club members only. You all have that access in the app, the Patreon app, or you can go on to the website if you don't have it on your phone set up. But the link is there. If you'd like to call in, Booster Club members, that is only people that get it tonight. My friend Austin, who's normally here with me, will not be here tonight. He had a last minute kind of change of plans. So unfortunately, he sends his best wishes tonight, and he'll hopefully be back with us next week. A lot of you already know the drill and are doing it. Post where you're watching from, City, State, International with a War Eagle. We got John, who's a Booster Club member and a channel member. Watching, he says, pulling for the Braves in the World Series. Neil says, yes. We all, I think most people are pulling for the Braves outside of Houston because everybody still hates Houston. And I understand why. I haven't been invested in Major League Baseball that much over the last couple of seasons, but I still understand why. Cam's here. Good to see you. Dusty from Pensacola, Florida, channel member and Booster Club member. Thank you, sir. Corey, a Booster Club member. Good to see you. War Eagle to you. And I got all the members here tonight. A channel member and Plainsman Murph from Monroeville, Alabama. So looks like all the usual suspects are starting to arrive here. So let's get this ball rolling tonight. What is on your mind in terms of Auburn stuff? But before we start maybe getting into the topics, the discussion points that I wanted to cover tonight, what's on your mind? I think there are some prevalent things out there going on that if you follow social media that are certain to be at the front of your mind. And we can talk about those to some extent, but I think, social media has its advantages, and boy, does it have its disadvantages. And it allows people that would never in public say some things that they say to say them online and hide behind, and sometimes an avatar, but sometimes it's even their face and exactly who they are. It's just brings out the worst in people, man. It really, really does. War Eagle from Kingsport, Tennessee. From Brandon, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Is Ole Miss that good, or has LSU given up on the season? That might be a little both, actually. And I know that's a cop-out answer, but it really, when you think about it, I mean, after they had this imagine the emotional roller coaster. You go from beating your, cross-divisional big rival in Florida. Within an hours after that, your head coach is essentially gone for the year. Yeah, he's there, but he's getting fired. So did they give up? No, but did that affect them? Yes. Is Ole Miss that good? I lean that Ole Miss is a lot better than we were giving them credit for at the beginning of the season. I think it really does amount to what Auburn's run game and defense is going to do against Ole Miss that's going to dictate this game. But we'll talk about that Wednesday night. We'll try to keep most of that discussion there. LSU is that bad. Coach O doesn't care. Coach O he's had some other priorities for quite some time. Neil's addressing one of the big things out there about his response to the vaccine. Yeah, I mean, everybody just needs to mind their business is basically what this amounts to. And look, the beat reporters have to ask the question. What I think some of the beat reporters are missing, no one's reasonable people are not faulting them for asking the question. We're faulting you for inserting your own morality into your responses about it and stuff like that. That's really what's going on here. And I think either that's being missed or it's being choose that aspect of it is being ignored because it's much easier to do that. Plainsman Murph, inquiring minds want to know who's healthy practicing this week. Well, I don't know who all has listened to the press conference this week. I will be releasing my video analysis of it tomorrow about 11 o'clock roughly. So if you want to tune in and watch that tomorrow, please do. It won't be live, it's a recorded video. But just to give you an overview, he said that he expected everybody to had been out. So like Owen Papo, Zacchaeus Walker, Walker. Yeah. No, who am I? I think I'm mixing some people. Anyway, a couple of people that have been out to be back. And he didn't say like specifically they are going to be back, but he expected them to be back. So that means they made some good progress in the healing up of bye week, getting, some things kind of, health wise figured out. But what he's also referring to here is the rumor mill that continues to be swirling. And I even have, I think Jack was someone who posted on a video recently on a video about this question, but it wasn't about the video. He asked if I had seen about the rumors, and I have. I always try to address those after a little bit. I try not to be one of those people that reacts as soon as it happens. I want to sometimes, and sometimes I do, but I try to really hold back and wait and see. Now, I think the response. So what's going on here? So what he's referring to is there's rumors going around. People say that they're in the know, that there are some players. Smoke Monday's been implicated in that as well, for some reason, that they were caught. They had a party, took some things they weren't supposed to take, and had a random test and tested positive, unless they're facing consequences, whether that be temporary, indefinitely, or permanently. We got nothing from that from the press conference. The press actually asked him, "Is there anybody we're expecting out for the rest of the season?" And Coach Harsin said, in terms of season-ending injuries, no, we're not expecting. So he framed it in such a way that kind of you blow past it and think he gave you the answer that you wanted, but he really didn't. So you can't rule it out at this point. I'd just settle down and wait and find. We'll know on Saturday, right? If there's a bunch of defensive players, which everybody thinks is missing, we certainly will know. So that's the easiest thing to do. And I know that requires patience, which us Auburn fans aren't really good at. And I say that to me as well. But that might be what has to happen here. Don't know what to think about the rumors, but after today, they seem to be leaning towards false since Coach Harsin never addressed it. Now, he did address it, but he addressed it. And if you don't think that Coach Harsin doesn't come prepared, he came prepared for two things today: questions about his medical choices and questions about the rumors that were spun around. And the beat writers came prepared. If there was a day where you can tell that they orchestrate the questions together, say, all right, who gets to ask the tough question today? Today was the day. They really kind of, it was obvious that was going on. So he addressed it, but he addressed it in the way where he doesn't have to really admit or say anything for both things. Corey, yes. So I think I can talk about this because we shared and this is in the Booster Club, Corey. I don't know if you were there that time, but I shared a little bit of a tidbit that I heard before all the news started dropping that TD was going to be back this season, potentially. They be able to travel to A&M. I don't suspect it this week. I haven't heard anything, but A&M was what I was told about 2.5 weeks ago. Maybe it's been longer than that. But yeah, so usually if I get little tidbits like that I feel are very somewhat validated, I'll share them there. Dusty says, never thought I'd say that I'd see the day that I'm worried about losing a coach over something like this. I just wish everyone would mind their business. All this has gotten to be too much. I agree. Coach Harsin's got to make his own decisions personally, and whether you agree with them or not, let me tell you this, you probably in your life make decisions that we don't agree with, and we still have to deal with it. So same for us. And when it comes to Coach Harsin, yes, the Smoke Monday issues. Who knows what's going on there? Was it involving a booster member? Oh, you're asking about TD? Yeah, I I didn't get into what happened because that is up in the air still. What when I thought he'd be back is what that post was all about. It may have been one of those quick ones, almost like the stories thing that we have in there that I'm able to do. Plains, we Kyle talk. TD's situation, we don't know specifics. What I was told is that he was going to be uh, potentially back by the A&M game. There is rumors out there that to me sound pretty credible that there was not an advantage, not the right way, some benefit given that was not aware that it would cause any issues. Hey, Kevin, good to see you again. On Monday nights, it's Booster Club members only. They have the link. I know the headphones are on, but that's only for them. Wednesday nights is for everybody. So try on Wednesday night. What's going on? Smoke, TD, Booster. There's a lot going on today in Auburn's in the world of Auburn sports, as there always tends to be. All right. Let's take a look back. You guys can ask questions and comments and all that stuff however you'd like to, because I said we could bounce around a lot. But I want to frame our live stream discussion a little bit tonight, especially since we're down with without Austin here. How many of you, let me frame this question correctly so it's easy for y'all to type. Would you say, based off of your expectations at the beginning of the season, versus right now, we'll consider it the halfway point. I know it's technically just above halfway point with 7 games total, but you think about it, still would be halfway because they could go to the playoffs, could go to the SEC championship, all that stuff. Anyway, from the beginning of the season to right now, has Auburn football underperformed, exactly performed, or right in the middle, or overperformed in your eyes? Post that now in the chat window. Overperformed, right where they're supposed to be, or underperformed in your eyes? I'd love to hear your response on this. Dusty's asking about the who all is implicated. Smoke is the only one that I've heard, that seems to be very prevalent in terms of, that a lot of people are saying it, but part of me feels like that's just because of the nature of what the allegations are and his name. But listen, I know it's a bit of a cop out, but I always try to go with the rumors this way: where there's smoke, there's fire, but to what degree? And I didn't get the sense that there was a lot of fire behind this because couple things. The beat writers weren't really going all in on this thing, and they typically will if they've got a juicy tidbit. There were some people that, I guess you could kind of consider like me, were kind of like media members, but not really, that said they had the information. And sometimes we do, but maybe not. I don't know, like, where to go with how legit the implications are at this point. We'll find out Saturday. I think that's what it's going to amount to. I think we have to pound the rock this week and keep our defense fresh and burn the clock, keep Ole Miss's offense on the side. Yep, we'll talk about that a lot. I got some opinions on that on Wednesday. John says he thinks that we have overperformed. Neil says better than expected in his opinion. Kevin says a great season so far. Anybody else got any opinions on that? Plainsman Murph says, based on our talent level, I believe we are where we should be. I'm kind of where, and not necessarily about the talent, but I'm kind of where Plainsman Murph is. I think we have performed exactly how I thought we would perform. I know it's very easy for me to say that, and I did predict that, at the beginning of the season, that we would lose to Penn State, beat LSU, and get, at this point, be where we are. From the very beginning, I was worried about that Arkansas game. I was extremely, extremely worried about it. But, if you look back to my prediction, at the beginning of the season, it was we would probably lose to, excuse me, and Georgia. I said we'd lose to Georgia as well. I said we'd probably lose to Texas A&M and lose to Alabama. Those look hot, like higher possibility wins for me at this point. So we'll maybe make some predictions toward the end of the live stream tonight. Dusty says slightly overperformed. You know, that's the impression that I get from a lot of the fans, right? That we are overperforming, which is interesting because if you listen to Twitter, if you listen to social media, if you listen to everybody saying things that they'd never say in public, we were at the end of our rope. The program was going down the toilet. And here we are sitting after a bye week, after a win, and everybody just feels like maybe slightly overperformed. So it's kind of interesting just to see the roller coaster that has happened on the field, but emotionally that's happened as well. I'm still going to say that we have performed exactly where we're supposed to be. Now, let me say this. If we get past this Ole Miss game this weekend and we beat Texas A&M on the road, we are officially, in my eyes, overperforming. And that is a good thing. Corey says, what's up with Miss changing their mascot to a shark? So here's the problem. A lot of the times when you try to appease certain groups because they say something's offensive, you kind of create this spiral. And then there's no way to stop it once you kind of go down the spiral. And then it gets worse and worse and worse because remember they were the rebel black bears, and then that wasn't enough. And now it's land sharks and all that. You know, it's just crazy. Listen, you know, did they need to change the mascot? We can probably have a discussion about that, but surely they could have come up. I thought the black bear, honestly, with the ties to Ernest Hemingway and everything, I thought that was brilliant. I was like, that's awesome. The great marketing tool right there. I know the players did their whole land shark thing, but that was like for one season. Why would you change your mascot around that? That's just stupid. Just stupid. I'm probably going to be unpopular with my opinion, but if Harsin is willing to do anything to win, then on December 9th, he will still be our coach. Well, Jack, unfortunately, the winning is not the most important thing. And I know I know you know this, and I'm not really necessarily talking at you, just speaking to your comment. Winning is not everything, and it shouldn't be everything. Coach Harsin's health and his decisions about his health are the most important thing. I would rather him do that than be forced into a situation. If that's the case, I don't know what his thing. I don't know what his decision on that is. Don't want to know personally. I could care less. Is that the right way to say it? Or couldn't care less? I don't care. It's not important. It has nothing to do with the game of football and shouldn't ever have anything to do with the game of football. That's kind of where I stand on it. Yeah. Once you hit that spiral, it is hard to get out of. Rodney, good to see you from Bruton, Alabama. Thanks for being here. Look at the college football horizon. There are so many underperforming teams. The fact that Cincy is ranked 2 shows how crazy college football is. Listen, I'm going to say an unpopular opinion. I think Cincinnati's legit. I said it. I said it live here on the air. Cincinnati is legit. I really think that. I'm sorry if that's unpopular, and I'll probably get proven wrong this week. But this notion that this is an underperforming year simply because Cincinnati's up there, I disagree with that entirely. I think Cincinnati is for real, and I think they're going to be the first non-Power 5 team to show that they need to be more part of the discussion later on down the line. Of course, I've also, you know, I don't think it was Neil, was it Corey? I think he was getting on me about my opinions about Texas A&M, which proved to be right in his corner for a while, but then I obviously a little bit more. It's kind of balanced more after the way they performed after Alabama and such. Larry says, I think some of y'all are a little bit behind in the chat too. You might want to like refresh because I'm getting some responses that are like after the fact of we've been talking about something for a while. Just so you know, that happens sometimes. Larry's where he thought it would be. The Ole Miss game will make a difference. I think so. And that's simply because Ole Miss, in my opinion, is overperforming. And I don't mean that like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that. They're just doing really well right now. If Auburn at home gets that upset, we're We're on that start little click, 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 where momentum's going to start to build. Neil. Tim says better than expect. I think Auburn's going to be a scary team moving forward. They already were a scary team in many ways, especially for us fans. But yes, the potential that Auburn has simply from the talent it's able to pull in and just put together at any certain point in time makes them a scary team. It's not often somebody comes into Jordan Hare and has an easy time. Georgia might have had a little bit of easy time towards the end there, but hey, it doesn't happen that often. Plainsman says another interesting question is, are we where we should be recruiting thus far? Very interested in seeing recruits look at us if we win up until the Iron Bowl. That's a hard arbitrary question to answer because different strokes for different folks. People are going to have a opinion. We should be further along. We're right where we should be. We're overachieving at this point. Recruiting is such an arbitrary thing with stars and all that. It's really hard to get a hold on it. Are we actually where we should be? I like the momentum we have with the offensive line recruits. There's the fact that the coaches got to go out this week and you saw pictures of them at this game, that game, talking to this player's parents. That's when you see that, the other recruits see that as well. When you build off of the whole win atmosphere, there's reason to feel like we're moving in the right direction recruiting wise right now. Don't get your hopes up about 5 stars. Stop worrying about the stars, folks. I cannot stress that enough. They were saying the D was. Oh, okay. Corey says, well, I understand they were saying the D was Sharks, but keyword was. Exactly. They don't play much of that now. Although Ole Miss is playing better defense the last couple of games. So we'll see. We'll see how good it is on Saturday. I think Ole Miss and Texas A&M are about the same unbeaten lake. It depends on which team you're going to get. Ole Miss has been way more consistent this year, but I still think they have that kind of up and down mentality. In a boxing match, what a question, Dusty. In a boxing match, how many rounds before Harsin knocks out Kiffin? See, here's the thing about Kiffin. He's wily. He is wily. And he'll do some just crazy stuff just to like slip out from underneath, a jab from Harsin. So I think Kiffin would go more rounds than you think he would with Harsin. Harsin to me is the guy because of the patience that he shows and the willingness to make the tough decisions that might set you back for just a minute, such as firing a wide receiver coach to build towards the future and build more momentum. So I could see a round where I think typically 10 rounds or 12 rounds, something like that in a match. I could see a match that eventually winds up in Harsin's favor in probably the 7th or 8th round, just because Kiffin's he's clever, he's crafty. Corey says, since he's not legit, they play in the American League. They do, but they have beaten the teams that they were supposed to, that they played outside of that league. And until they are proven wrong, I'm saying Cincinnati is legit. I am not one of these people that gets on the high horse about they're not in the Power 5. I think the Power 5 deserve more, or the non-Power 5 should have more of a seat at the table than they do, which is why, and here's a whole nother can of worms, I've often said I am in favor of us, the whole playoff system, redoing it and making everybody join 8 conferences. Conference champions go, no questions asked. If you're the conference championship, however you want to decide that, whether you want to have a game, by record, tiddlywinks, whatever, then you go, and then there's none of this anymore. I'm so tired of, unfortunately, the politics of college football. Oh, you don't deserve to be there because you're in the American League. I'm not making fun of you, Corey. I'm just saying that's the typical argument that's happening. I am very much one of those people that fights for the underdogs, and I think Cincinnati is legit until proven wrong this year. Will, good to see you, War Eagle. Thanks for being here. Kevin says he thinks we're going to be 10-2, first place in the SEC West. Yeah, I mean, there's potential there. We'll see. I agree, Kyle. Health is the most important thing. I would say this mandate does nothing but protect others' health. Hopefully, Harsh does what he wants, and that decision keeps him as our coach. Yeah. I think you also need to. It was a little bit the way I read it, at least, was a little bit. You're saying you want him to do what's right, but that's the way I'm interpreting it, at least. That you're interpreting the right thing to do is one thing, but that's always our opinion. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here's the important thing: whether he's vaccinated or not. They thankfully are in a state where there's a governor who's fighting against this overreach, and I think if he wasn't, he feels pretty secure about where things are going to head in that direction. Not sure if it matters, but the enemies on Roll Bama Roll are posting comments about being scared of Auburn. Well, they should be. They should be. They're coming to Jordan Hare. There are several holes in that armor this year. I'd be a little scared too if I was them. Corey says we should know if we get a 5-star linebacker on the 7th of November. It's down between us and Notre Dame. I thought there was one more in the mix there. Am I wrong? Derek Bowen, yeah. That'd be great. It'd be a great thing to kind of have. You always want to have the linchpin of your class. You think back to Carl Lawson. I think you could make the case for Lee Hunter this year would have been one of those. You think back to Mike Dyer. Of course, there are a lot of linchpins on that one, but you got to have that guy who's kind of the cornerstone of your recruiting class, and that looks like it could be the case there. And we're going to need somebody to come in. I think Owen's a senior, right? Can't remember, but to learn from some of these guys that might still be around at linebacker to build up the next generation. We've done a good job of that, of having the next generation of linebackers ready to go. So it'd be nice to get him in. Excuse me. 5 stars or teams like Alabama who wants to be like them anyway. Listen, I get the appeal of wanting to be like them. I still wouldn't want to be like them. I will every day and twice on Sunday take my one championship every 50 years and do things the right way and not be them. It's worth it. It is worth it. Went to Ole Miss AU game back in 2013. Buddy's an Ole Miss grad. Made fun of the trees at Tumors Corner. I told him he cursed Ole Miss by doing that. I was right. Hey, there might be a little voodoo on those trees over there. I wouldn't mess too much with them. Kiffin is interesting, but we all know what he did to Tennessee and USC. So Ole Miss better hope he doesn't leave, because he leaves disaster in his wake. Joe, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support in the Booster Club. Thank you, sir. I think Clemson was in it, but with Clemson down, we should have a better chance. Not necessarily. I think people read too much into a recruit's decision based off how the team is performing. That does factor in, but it factors in ways you forget about. That if they're performing so badly, especially if at their position, they see a lot of opportunity there. The light's flickering a little bit, especially early to compete. So it really depends on what they want and what they think's right for them. So I'd still throw them into the mix for now. Should it be Auburn or Notre Dame? Sure. But yeah, we'll see. Yes, we are excited for Final Four, potentially for basketball, but for basketball season in general. I will be on campus this Friday for the dunk contest. Hope to see some of y'all there. Clemson. Hey, by the way, my wife gets on me all the time. Clemson, is it Clemson or Clemson? I know it's spelled Clemson, but I was listening to a radio show recently, and Clemson fans called in and said it's fine to say Clemson because we do as well. And I was like, thank you. I just say it however it comes out. Oops. Plainsman Murph asked, what are the plans for old Beard Even building? Also plans for the current football facility when the new one is finished. I don't know the specific plans. That'd be a great thing for me to try to kind of investigate. I'll see if I can't do that. What I would assume is going to happen, football facility gets finished, right? Because usually this is how things go. You finish one big project, the other one kind of gets announced as it's ending or whatever, or the funds come in. Football facility gets finished. I think what you're going to probably see happen is at least a discussion of up to that hill and down to Beard Eaves, does everything back there get demolished? I kind of hope it doesn't happen because that's something really historic. A lot of things happen inside the field and people don't know. The whole kinesiology department's down there. The national handball team uses that as their headquarters. The wheelchair team, basketball team uses that as their headquarters. It's still used for a lot of good things, and it's historical. And I have a lot of good memories in there. So, but there is going to come a time where you have to ask the question, does it need to come down? And that question may be arriving soon. Problem is that you've got to get, with Title IX and all that stuff, if you're going to give them a football facility, you got to make sure you're giving equal, if not better in some cases, you know, opportunities for facilities and stuff like that. So they may not get rid of that, but just as they've probably already started doing, converting that whole unit into the other sports that want to use it, so to speak. Um, can you imagine the slap in the face it's going to be for Clemson getting beat by Wake Forest? We'll see if it happens. Maybe, maybe. Uh, if our run game gets off and Bo Nix played like he did against Arkansas, no one can beat us. Potentially, I think there's still some issues, even outside of those two things that Auburn's got to clean up that make them susceptible to getting beat. But yes, if Bo continues the trend that he's been having on, and we have some semblance of a running game, that's a formidable football team. Dusty says, keep in mind we have some open scholarships for transfers. We need an immediate boost on the O line, on the line of scrimmage. That is true. And remember, I'm not a huge fan of bringing in too many transfers because I think it's a Band-Aid that gets quickly pulled off in some cases. But that doesn't mean there's not some value in it. So I will say that yes, we might need to bring one, maybe two in, but what I would focus on this year especially is really building up that next group of offensive linemen. And we really got to do that within the people that are there now, but get this recruiting cycle right. Doesn't mean 5 stars. It means the right guys for Auburn. This would have been the right time for a playoff expansion. Yeah, potentially. I think if this was another year where it was, out, and it kind of is still, but at least there's been some parity. You got, if it was still Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, yeah, or Oklahoma, then you'd be like, yeah, this is really where we need expansion. They pronounce it Clemson. Oh man, it gives me just more fuel to my fire there. Elvis performed in that building. I'm sure many people performed in that building. Jamari's World's in the house. He says, hey, this Saturday is going to be my first time at an Auburn game as a fan. Awesome. Dude, it is going to be rocking all day on campus. I can already tell you it's going to be great weather. I think it was like high of 75, maybe almost to the 80s, low of like upper 50s. Beautiful day on the plains. It's going to be awesome. 6 o'clock kickoff. Ole Miss fans usually come in force. I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Imagine a Hudson Clemens duo, all our tight end and all the tight ends next year. Well, you assume Kobe's not going pro. I think he is a sophomore, but we've got a lot of options at wide receivers. Just getting the options to work. All right, let me pose another question, and I'll keep answering some questions and comments that you guys have already posted. But our topic was, predictions and maybe kind of looking back at the other season. We asked the question already: did Auburn underperform, overperform, or just kind of where you thought they would be up to this point? What's been the most surprising thing, good or bad, or both, however you want to answer that? Post this now about this team. There are several ways I think you could take that, because I think, for honest, there's a few more surprising things that are on the bad side than they're on the good side, but yet we're all being very positive about this right now, which is very interesting. Very interesting. Your mom has pics from that concert. That is interesting. I agree. Plainsman Mirth. Stankopotamus. What a name. He gets me every time. Yes. If you are declaring anything about anyone too soon, you are just You're being too quick on things. I don't mean that mean. I'm just saying you cannot make bold statements like that with this body of work, meaning very little. If we want to say if Bo stays this year, which I don't think he will, and comes back for his senior year, and he continues that trend, then you've got a case. Still too early. But to be considered a quarterback whisperer on this level of football, not Boise State level of football, you've got to be able to show a body of work that does that. And Harsin at this level doesn't have that yet. So I know you kind of meant that in fun, but to answer your question, no, you cannot make that statement about him yet and have the facts to back it up. I've worked the concession stands at a few games. What are some spots you'd recommend I check both on and off campus? Oh, man, Jamari. Oh, what a question. What a question, sir. Oh, man. If you can't tell me, this gets excited. Listen, there is no wrong way to do Auburn. But if I had, for your first experience, you would get there on campus as early as you can that morning and just walk around in not the peace of the early morning when people start arriving for tailgate, because it wasn't that way against Georgia. It probably won't be that way against Ole Miss, but just take it all in. Walk from Toomers down to the stadium, go see where Tiger Walk will be, kind of walk your way back around camp. Just enjoy the day. Maybe go get yourself an early lunch at Mama Goldberg's or many of the other places around town. There's even some stuff on campus, Chick-fil-A down there. And then just, maybe go make some friends with the tailgate, see if they'll let you in there and watch some football with them. Go get you a Toomer's lemonade. Come on over to Tiger Walk. Enjoy that. Get in the stadium if you've got tickets and just go bonkers. And if we get that dub, you run over to Toomer's Corner. There's no wrong way to do Auburn, but if I had to just kind of spit it out there for you real quick, that's what I'd suggest. All right. We got a good crowd assembled. If you haven't, please do make sure you smash that like button. Do want to call your attention to a couple things, actually, and I hinted at this last live stream. We're going to have a little bit of a sponsor coming up here on some of the videos and the live streams. We're not going to reveal them tonight. There's actually something behind me that is off camera you guys can't see that we'll be talking about in some future videos. So check that. I hope you guys will consider supporting them since they have decided to support us. We'll talk about that next stream. But if you want to do other things to help support us, you can do that by checking out some of the links in the description. There's things like TeePublic. You can buy t-shirts and other apparel merchandise stuff with our stuff and other Auburn gear on it. Related gear. It's not specifically Auburn gear. There's the Booster Club. That's on Patreon. It starts at $1 a month, goes up in different tiers. You get things. And then if you don't want to go somewhere else, you just want to keep yourself here on YouTube. There's also Booster Club here. It's not Booster Club. I'm sorry. The channel members here. That's only $1 a month. That's it. And it just is a way for you to offer up support and help create the content that we're doing here. So check all those out. Links in the description. There's other things as well, like doing super chats and PayPal and all that kind of stuff. But we appreciate you just being here. All right. Did I get responses on? Okay, I asked for surprises. I'm going to go back to some of your other comments and questions, but I do want to get to what we were talking about here. Wow, you guys, a lot of people are showing up here. Tank not being dominant, surprising. That is true. That is very true. Running backs, the defense team, yes. I am surprised at how bad the receivers are. Is the fire starting to make a little bit more sense? Doesn't mean I liked it, right? I didn't like the fire, and I kind of still don't because I like the dude. You can't argue with the results. Bo finally staying in the pocket. Running game is a disaster. Yes, I did see that fight. It looked like a bunch of just chickens running around being ridiculous. Surprised seeing the offense finally click together. Yeah, because there was a time it didn't really feel like that. Dusty says, Bo Nix development, bad surprise, Derek Mason affinity with running zone. It's been a while since we've had people get on the whole running zone thing, but Dusty has not forgotten that. The biggest surprise has been the game plan on both sides of the ball. Execution has been the biggest disappointment. I like that. That's a solid take right there. Did you see the SDS article headline about Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown's? Yes, they were actually thought Ronnie Brown's last name was Williams. I missed that one, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Anyway, so I do want to make sure I didn't miss any other comments up here. Big Simps in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Kevin's going to be at the Mississippi State game. I will be on campus. I don't know if I'll be at the game, but I will be there. Like I am for most home games. Most. Anders Bookstore. Always a welcome spot to visit. Listen, Corey, we were they were technically a sponsor for they were a sponsor for the bracket challenge we do at March Madness. They were that for one season. They were going to do it the second season, and then COVID happened, and March Madness was canceled. So yeah, that was fun. But yes, we have partnered with them in some sense. They've changed over management now and haven't really been able to establish that relationship again. But hey, it's always hope. It's not them if that's not who I was talking about. Ole Miss reminds me of Arkansas. Only difference is quarterback is better. Probably so. There's not much I disagree with on that. Do you think Auburn or Boise State was higher ranked over the last 20 years? Well, I would suspect over the last 20 years, which would be, I'm doing math real quick. Give me a second. Till 2001, which would include the Tuberville area. When you average them all together, I would bet Auburn is pretty decently ahead, but I wouldn't be surprised. Boise State, for a while just kept hanging on up there no matter what. Jamari says, my biggest surprise is Mike Bobo. I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion or not, but I think his play calling has been great for the most part. I would say that's an unpopular opinion by most people's standards. The difference is that people that are saying that, and I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of his style of play calling. That doesn't mean that it's wrong. That's just my opinion, and that's just the way I feel about it. Like I referenced back to the Georgia fans I had a conversation with. That I asked them, is this the way it's going to be? And they said, yeah. I mean, in terms of what you're seeing, the execution will probably get better and the performance of it will get better, but this is what you can expect. I was like, oh, I don't like that. So yes, I think a lot of frustrations had been put in places they shouldn't be because people wanted to win immediately because we've got some unreasonable part of our fan base. And that's what you were kind of seeing result in some of those things. A complete changeover requires patience. It does. It really does. Biggest surprise is how much depth we have at tight end. I don't know that I would say we have what people consider depth, meaning you can just insert somebody out there and there's no change. I think Schenker is far and away the best we have. I think Fromm's got promise. I think Landon King's got promise, even though he's being used at wide receiver a lot. But, there's that. So let's ask this question, and we're going to get to predictions here in a second. We waited far too long to do that for the rest of the season. I want to know, we talked about what's your biggest surprise. Who is the biggest surprise for you player-wise? Just give me a name, whether it's Bo's performance, whether it's, it can be good or bad, but I just want the player specifically that surprised you the most. Felix is in the house, a Booster Club member and channel member. Thank you, sir. You're the bomb. 9-3. I'm still there. You are still live, my friend. Corey, good question. I was wondering this myself. I think he is what I would call tweaked. It sounds bad, but like he's tweaked to the point that if you hit him just right, you might tweak him even further. I'm not advocating for that. I think people get offended sometimes when I say I want the opposing players to get just tweaked just a little bit, just enough to where it affects their game. I don't want them to be hurt. And it's a physical game. It happens, So I would say Auburn needs to really make a point about bringing him down as hard as possible without truly hurting him. Dusty, I figured you loved Bobo's offense. I don't like it. That does not mean it's wrong though, and that it's not going to work. Felix, do you think Mason will come back next year? Yeah. I mean, outside of him leaving, if I get another opportunity, sure. Yeah. I don't see a reason why not at this point. He's made adjustments in some crucial moments. Has it been a little bit infuriating and confusing at times? Yeah, but that's what a transition year is, confusing and confounding sometimes. Looks like Bobo is taking what they give us when they load the box. You pass. And if your receivers are dropping the balls, then that's just disaster. All right, Bo Nix. These are the answers to everything that I said about who stuck out to you the most, who surprised you the most. Shanker, Jarquez Hunter, biggest surprise. That's a good one. Leota, yes, Leota's been good, and he's not been good on the stat sheet per se, but in just wrecking havoc. Yes, Cam and I are on the same wavelength tonight. I like this. Any word on Shivers? No, I haven't heard anything on him. No, haven't heard anything. Leota, Shanker's the biggest surprise. Good. All right, let's do this. We bounced around a lot, and you can keep the comments and questions coming. Let's talk about going forward. How about this? I don't want predictions just yet. Just hold on. Hold your horses. Everybody just hold on to it for a minute. I want to know, what is your percentage confidence? Post this in the chat, that Auburn can win out, meaning no more losses. They beat Ole Miss, beat Texas A&M on the road, beat Mississippi State at home, South Carolina on the road, Alabama at home. What is your percentage confidence that Auburn can win out? Post that now, and then we'll do predictions. That is what I want to know from you. For me, I don't think of my two games that are questioned that are left, Texas A&M and Alabama, I don't think we can get both, just to be honest. I also am not super unsure of us not getting surprised by Ole Miss. I feel 90%, 99% confident about Mississippi State, and even though they've surprised a few teams, and then South Carolina definitely. So those are two wins, but I'm still not super confident for some reason. All right, we got some answers here. 45%, 50%, 20%. The range of these is crazy. 93, 65, 35, 10%, 80, 70, 50. If we beat Ole Miss, David says, I think we can beat anybody. Well, then you would assume that Ole Miss is better than Alabama, and they're not, clearly. Let's see. I have more confidence. Whoop, there it is. We beat Bama at home than beating AM on the road. I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. Big Simp, our toughest will be Texas Aggies. We beat them, and we will have a rematch with Georgia for the crown. That still requires you to beat Alabama, unfortunately. If they don't get another loss, we can come in, with no West Division losses, and if they beat us, they get to go, unfortunately. So I think the Aggies, I think Ole Miss will tell us a lot this week, but I think the Aggies game is going to be the one that really shows you where this team is. And isn't that kind of poetic? That's what happened with the team in 2013. It was like, they had this momentum start building since LSU. And then it was like, as soon as D Ford brought down Johnny Manziel in the backfield to end the game, it was like the light switch went off, and Auburn never looked back. Got a little help along the way. A little luck went their way. Some very big plays, but opportunity. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. Jamari, yes. He says, I need to see the improvements in the trenches before I'm confident about being a. I agree with you. I think I've got to see the offensive line help us establish more of a running game. I think I've got to see more consistency from the wide receivers and the defensive backs. And we've got to continue to get more momentum getting a pass rush. So there are still so many unknowns about this team for the rest of the season in terms of how consistent are they going to be, that make me feel confident enough to say that we're going to go undefeated, because I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're at least going to get one loss. You guys can convince me to say we only take one loss the rest of the way, go 4-5, or 4-1. We'll see how we say here. We'll take final predictions in just a second, though. In just a little bit. Yeah, so if you look at history, unbeaten Lake, yes, that would obviously favor Auburn, but this is a unique year. And I was at one of those games. I was Eli Manning and Ben Obumanu dropped that pass in the end zone. Broke my heart. It broke my heart. I'll never forget that day. Literally hit him in the breadbasket and just dropped it. Yes, the home team usually loses in this series, so that we broke that trend, but it still is kind of there still, right? Kevin's super optimistic. I love it, buddy. I'm saying beating Ole Miss would have our momentum high, and Alabama's playing in the jungle this year. Yeah, no, listen, even without that, I think Alabama coming to the jungle the way they're playing this year, kind of sporadic at times, bodes very well in our corner no matter what. Russell's in the house. Good to see you, Russell. Thanks for being here, man. And appreciate you reminding everybody to give that thumbs up. Cam says we can beat everybody left on the schedule, but we also can lose to all of, well, a few of them, I guess is what he says. All right, how about this? Let's go ahead and take it now. Final record prediction. So I want the whole year. So you got 2 losses thus far. How many, or what's your record stand for the regular season? Don't worry about bowls yet. That's a long way off still. What's your final record? So this is going to include how many wins and losses we take in the final 5 games of the season. What say you? Put it in there now in the chat window. If we beat Ole Miss, what will the headline read on Sunday? I'm trying to be creative here off the fly, and it's not working. I was thinking of something with a golf ball and Lane Kiffin, but I can't come up with it. Y'all have to help me. Tommy, thanks for being here. Ole Miss walking into a Tiger Den. I agree. All right, we got back it up here. Back it up. Unbeaten Lake. You weren't supposed to do the postseason. It says 13-2. Just regular season. 9-3. 9-3. 8-4. Preseason pick. 9 to 10 wins regular season. Got to pick one, Russell. You can't sit the fence. You got to pick one or the other. I'm gonna push you to it. 10-2, no less than 9-3. Pick one. Got to pick one. That's why it's a prediction. Ole Miss hasn't beaten us in 5 years, and the series is 34-10 Auburn 0. Hey, listen, history and stats are on our side, but stats sometimes get thrown out the window. 8-4. The Tigers spread the mustard on Ole Miss. That's a good one. Russell, I know you're on the fence, man, but this is not the time to be sitting on the fence. This is time for predictions now. Cam. Auburn Mustard's up a win. Well done. That is the message of the. If there was a message of the show, that would be it. Well played. I'm giving faith to the team. 10-2. 10-2. 10 wins, baby. All right, I like it. Listen, if we were sitting at the beginning of the season and you all told me 10 wins, I would be giving you reasons why you're going to be wrong. I will say, based off the potential that has been realized at some points this season and some of the improvements that we've made, that 10 wins is not out of the realm of possibility. Now that requires us going undefeated, which we've all addressed already, percentage confidence and things like that. But this is not a question of, is it even plausible that Auburn can do that? It is plausible. Is it likely? In my opinion, no. But it is plausible. I will say for my final prediction, and you can boo, hiss, or agree with me, whatever, I'm going to say 8-4. Simply because I'm not assured of those things that we addressed, the offensive line run presence, the wide receivers being consistent, the defensive backs not becoming a liability, and us getting enough of a pass rush to keep them from being too much of a liability. There's enough challenging opponents left on the schedule that makes me question whether or not it is possible to get to the end of the season without 4 losses. So that's kind of where I stand on that. Yes, they do have pretty dumb chant. There's nothing really about Ole Miss like the best thing they have is the Grove. They can't get their mascots right. They can't get their little chants right. They look like they don't even care half the time about football. Like they care more about drinking. So yeah, it's just a we got people hissing the yes, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. um, Tommy says it's a chance Auburn could lose an upcoming game and still make it to the SEC championship. It is true. So you play this out. Say Auburn does lose to Ole Miss. Ole Miss has, if they lost the game and then we beat Alabama, we won out after that, we'd still go. But that's why I think Ole Miss is so important, because you basically have the tiebreaker. You have the tiebreaker of them if you beat them, and then you have, Texas A&M has 2 SEC losses. You'll have that. So even if you lost to them, you'd have a case, at least an equal case. And then Alabama, they've got to lose to somebody else to give you a better option. Russell says reasonable pick. Still think our team is better than our remaining opponents besides Alabama, but we have some time, have them at home. Lots of ifs still. Yes. I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable for everybody to say we go undefeated. It's reasonable. Likely no. Reasonable maybe. Yes, maybe. All right. Last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttal, get them in now. Give you a couple reminders for the week. Again, tomorrow, 11 o'clock, I'll post my video about the press conference today. A lot of juicy stuff was discussed there. And I'll share my opinions about it. So check that out, please, tomorrow if you can. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, live. Be here. Preview for Ole Miss. We're going to break it all the way down. Talk about the ifs and the buts and what might happen. And so don't miss that. Probably have another video for you guys Thursday, and then we'll have we have podcasts coming out tomorrow for War Horses Equestrian Update. We've got the equestrian rankings coming out on Wednesday on the website. We've got a football preview podcast with the No Huddle Boys on Thursday. There's always tons of content to consume, so don't go anywhere else. We've got all kinds of good stuff here for you. Everybody going to get that thing is taken on a live, and it is hilarious. All right. War Eagle to you as well, John. It was good to hear from you the other day. When are we gonna get the E2C tailgate? Come off some of that money. What money, sir? I will tell you this, guys. I try to always not reveal too much, but to pull the curtain back, so to speak, because I think I've had certain people that I follow and stuff do that for me and the other followers that they have. So I kind of want to do the same thing. I'm doing this full time now, amongst some other things that I do to kind of make money on the side. And we are slowly moving forward in terms of, support that we've garnered from a lot of you all, whether it's just being here watching the stuff or being a booster club member or channel member here, buying the merchandise, all that stuff. We made one of our financial goals, a very small one, this year already, and that was very promising. So can we have tailgates in the future? Potentially. I'm working on something to try to do something like that, but I will warn you that any tailgate that we ever do is going to be family friendly. So unfortunately, I'm going to make a lot of you guys eye roll and say there will not be any alcohol there, because that is not something that I really want to be a part of personally. I know that's all over campus, but this is probably where I lose a lot of fans now. But just so you know, any type of tailgate like that is going to be completely family friendly and stuff like that. But yes, one day we'll have one. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. How can I buy the merch, Dusty? It is in the link in the thing is the TeePublic link. Make sure there's a sale coming up too. I mean, you can buy it now. I'm not obviously if you want to, but usually there's some sales, and it usually says it's a sale going on. If you're wanting to buy one of those, there's a T-shirt there and stuff like that, with the logo, and there's some other stuff. The War Dustbuster T-shirts up there. Nobody's bought it yet. Y'all asked me to make it. Nobody's bought it yet. So check that out. Oh, look, Justin's here. He's our good Georgia fan. We get a few of them every once in a while. I love to see Justin here. Corey says, when are we going to hear you throwing questions to Harsin postgame? I'll be honest with you, Corey, and I don't know if this is, again, pulling the curtain back too much. That's not what I want to do. I'm not about being another beat reporter. I'm about being one with, it sounds really weird, but one with you guys. Like, I don't, this is not about me being the media member or something like that. What we do is much more about the fandom and less about just reporting on things. So while that'd be awesome, and I hope to someday give you guys more stuff, maybe interviews and stuff like that. We've interviewed former players. I've interviewed Coach Sonny Smith. I've interviewed Andy Burcham. We will try to do that as much as we can. But I don't foresee a day soon that would be happening. Doesn't mean we won't ever do it. I actually got to interview Coach Karen Hoppe after a soccer match when we had a soccer podcast. That was really unnerving. I don't know why, because she's the nicest lady and one of the best coaches we have. But I was sitting there just like, could you just please answer this question for me? But yeah, anyway, so we do things a little different here. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But hey, I like it. Yes, the subscribers have doubled, but it has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with you all and inviting people into our little family within the Auburn family. And I hope that you'll continue to do that. We were close to breaking 1,500 before we started. I don't know if we got there, if we'll get there later on this week, but I hope so soon. So thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Hope to see you here Wednesday live, and we'll hang out. We'll talk about all things Auburn and especially preview the Auburn versus Ole Miss game. Hope you're excited. Have a great week. Get ready, because we're going to hopefully beat Ole Miss and start a big momentum shift towards the end of the season. Until then, War Eagle.